Sip. Yo, what up, baby? I'm sorry, man.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're good. Shit, you can't be
Ready
sorry.
to roll, dude?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh yeah. So at the beginning, I just got a little thing I want to talk about. Just real quick, right off the cuff, the shit that I've been doing and looking at today.
Hell yeah, there's a PBA 0 for 1. Go.
Oh yo, is this 41?
Yep.
41?
Yep.
Poor Bastards Almanac 41, just starting out here. Poor Bastard number 2. Just to let you guys know, we are not sponsored by anyone. Fuck sponsors. We're not influenced by money. We snap necks and fucking cash checks. That's how we make money. And there's nobody is giving us anything for any reviews that we say or any products that we mention. That out of the way, the Poor Bastards Almanac is not supported by anyone, but however, we support the Second Amendment. And
true story.
Just to let you guys know, I mean, put your money where your mouth is. The police department isn't everywhere at one time. You're responsible for your own protection. And you know what? EMS services aren't around everywhere all the time. And you are truly responsible for your own well-being. And anyhow, I own an M1 Garand. That's not the only firearm I own, but that's one of them. And I happened to run across a YouTube channel earlier today called Garand Thumb. Garand Thumb, it seems like, and this is a YouTube channel. He from what I can gather, he is a combat lifesaver. He has medical training, and he is in the military. And he gives all sorts of advice on equipment, various kinds of equipment, from firearms to how you would set up your helmet nowadays, or your chest rig, belt rig, what kind of pants you would like to buy as far as combat breeches, gloves, you name it. This guy has a video on it giving you advice based on his experience. And anyways, I've been looking at that stuff, and I came across a kind of a sister channel called T-Rex Firearms. And there's a gentleman named Lucas on T-Rex Firearms that had a video dated October 3rd, 2017, just after the mass shooting at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. The shooter was 100 yards up on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay, where he fired upon a crowd of country music goers who were about 500 yards away. He was 100 yards up, 500 yards away. We won't go into the details of how the fuck that guy ended up getting that many firearms that high up into a hotel of that caliber by himself. There's just so many unanswered questions there. But the question that was posed by T-Rex Arms on October 3rd, 2017 is, what can CCWers do if they can't shoot? Obviously, in that kind of situation, that guy's 100 yards up, 500 yards away. A pistol shot is not it's not feasible. It's simply not feasible. At least not with what I would personally carry in that situation. So what can you do? What can a concealed carry weapon holder do if their weapon is absolutely of no use in that situation? And the answer is, can you address trauma? How well can you address trauma? Can you clear an airway? Do you know CPR? And if the answer is no, then I would encourage you, as Lucas does, to go to naemt.org/education. There's a course directory there that will show you all the courses that are available in your area for everything from advanced medical life support, all hazards disaster response, emergency pediatric care, emergency vehicle operator safety, EMS safety, most of these courses are geared towards people that are already in the medical community or people that are members of the military. NAEMT offers what's called TCCC courses, Tactical Combat Casualty Care courses, which are generally for members of the military. If you go to naemt.org/education/course directory, there will be a checkbox list of different courses, and there are 2 drop-down lists where you can select your state and your country and see what courses are available in your area. Unfortunately, not all of them are available to the public, but you can still check that list and see which ones are. It's not a black and white deal that, an all hazards disaster response course would be, closed to the public. It really depends on the instructor. And from what it looks like, this website will give you a direct conduit to the instructor that is teaching that course in your area, and you will directly contact that instructor for admission into the course. And I have no idea how much these courses cost, but I can tell you that they all count towards continuing education courses. A lot of these are geared towards people in the medical profession, but a substantial amount of them are available to the public. It really depends on what state you're in. There are the particular course that I wanted to enroll in is not available in my state, but it is available in a neighboring state. So if you don't find the exact course that you think would correspond with your situation, your profession, or where you're at, maybe look into a neighboring state if you're not too far away. I personally do have I have been in the past licensed for a concealed carry weapon. Currently, I'm not. But in the past, I have been. And it wasn't until I watched this T-Rex Arms video on what can CCWers do if, their weapon is no use. It didn't dawn on me that there is a total separate half to this whole deal that makes you responsible. You personally, I didn't get my CCW just for me. It of course it is for me, but it's for the community at large. I am licensed to defend people in my immediate area. You are, if you have a current CCW, if you're currently licensed to hold a CCW, you are licensed to defend those in your immediate area. And your care for your community, and basically what I'm saying here is, as a concealed carry weapon holder, your duty to your community does not end at the business end of your barrel. There is more that you can do than simply knowing how to operate a firearm to be a useful tool in your community. I'm considering doing the all hazards disaster response in lieu of the course that I would like to take. Simply because the all hazards disaster response course probably applies more in the area that I'm in. It is more likely that a hurricane or some sort of natural disaster would take a last minute turn and would be in my general area. That's more likely than a mass casualty scenario from an active shooter or something like that. And this is really putting your money where your mouth is, as far as my political beliefs. That's what I feel. I feel it's me putting my money where my mouth is. You know, if I believe that the police can't be everywhere at once, and therefore I am responsible for my own personal safety, you've got to believe the same thing about EMS. It is incumbent on us as a community to at least be somewhat versed in this capacity for the benefit of those around us. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. This a concealed weapons permit is not your license to be a hero. It's your license to protect yourself and those immediately around you. And it's not to say that I would take one of these courses and, you know, retain all the knowledge and be able to apply it in a stressful situation. I'm not saying I'd be able to take one of these courses and immediately respond to something, you know, should the need arise. It's simply just having this knowledge, and on the off chance that you don't shit your pants when the need arises, you know, if there's just one life that you can save by being prepared, then it was worth it, you know, because firearms are a pastime of mine. I go to the range. I enjoy it. I feel like it is completely proper for me to have a medical bag on me, on my person, in my range bag, should something happen. I've taken a CCW course before where the actual course provider and his son-in-law were there, and they told a story where they were at a gun range and someone had a negligent discharge, shot themselves in the leg, and the son-in-law, having EMT experience, being there on scene right there, had to stick his thumb in a bullet wound. Now, obviously, you wouldn't have to use your thumb if you had the proper, you know, gear on you in the moment, but thank God that guy was trained, had his head on his shoulders enough to make that happen. But here at the Poor Bastards, we just want you to be prepared. Check out Grand Thumb. Check out T-Rex Arms, two great channels with a wealth of information about firearm safety and just some great shit, man. They've Grand Thumb. I love him. He's got a great sense of humor, and he's almost like Steve MRE out in the field, dude. It's like if Steve MRE was telling you how to get your kit together. I just can't recommend him enough. For the firearm enthusiasts out there, check out Grand Thumb. My wife is not allowed to be in the same room with me while I watch Grand Thumb videos because that handsome bastard is a threat to my marriage. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all Poor Bastard 2 has on that. Didn't mean to take up that amount of time, but I felt compelled to let you guys know if there are CCWers out there, there is a total separate half that I have not been privy to until this afternoon. Learn how to plug a fucking bullet wound. Learn how to plug a fucking chest wound, sucking chest wound. You know, learn how to apply a tourniquet. Know what kind of equipment you need to have in your medical bag and know how to use it. It's not good enough that you've got it on you. Know how to fucking use it. And I'm going to call myself on this because I'm going to take one of these fucking courses. And, you know, here in a couple months, I'll let you guys know how it shook out. But definitely look up this stuff. NAEMT.org. Go there, look up a course, look up an instructor, and get prepared.
I think that's the longest monologue recorded to date on the PBA.
I bet so. That was all offhand, you know, not prepared. This is shit that I looked at today after I finished doing up some work, you know. So I watched some Hua shit from Grand Thumb, and I played some fucking Arma this afternoon. So that's what I did.
Man, it's funny you mentioned those things. So I've got 3 tangents just from that whole thing.
Let's run off, dude. Let's do it.
A buddy of mine not long ago was at the CMP Talladega Marksmanship Park.
Fucking A right. Is Talladega in Alabama?
Talladega Marksmanship Park is Talladega, Alabama.
Dude, fuck yeah.
You win the
Fuck
prize,
yeah.
man. Show him what he's won.
So the CMP is the Civilian Marksmanship Program down there in Alabama. In the United States government from like the 1940s, World War II, you guys know, when we beat them fucking Krauts back and eradicated them from the goddamn world
Those
because they're
commies.
fucking oppressive Nazis.
Which brings up a fucking fourth tangent. Speaking of commies.
Yeah. So those National Socialist cunts got their fucking asses whipped by John Garand. And anyways, so our awesome nation has have parts of these M1 Garands that are, you know, federal property. But as you know, as they go through these boxes of old M1 Garand parts and stuff, they will assemble them and give them to the Civilian Marksmanship Program in Alabama. And they assemble them with, you know, they don't stick shitty parts on like a good stock, and you know, vice versa. They put these things together as period correct as they can, and when they give them to the Civilian Marksmanship Program, those folks sell them, and it's a limited number. They don't have a ton of them. I mean, it's like every couple of years they're like, hey, we've got a new batch of assembled M1 Garands from, you know, the national stock, and they gave them to us to sell. And it's a finite number. When they run out until the United States federal government relinquishes enough parts to be assembled. And anyhow, that's just damn. That's just the Second Amendment written all over it, dude. I mean, the Civilian Marksmanship Program in Alabama is all about getting civilians acquainted with firearms. That's what the Second Amendment is about, dude. And they live up to it, son. And anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's the Civilian Marksmanship Program in Alabama is where I got my M1 Garand from. And I fucking love it, man.
Dude, hell
Built
yeah.
in May of 1945, so it was after World War II. But I mean, it has throat and muzzle readings. I think the muzzle reading was like a B minus, and the throat reading was a C plus. Which the muzzle is obviously at the very end of the barrel. Throat reading is just inside the chamber well, and it's worn. I mean, it's worn. It's got a lot of use, and I mean, it's got a really dark stock to it as well. My stepdad picked up 3 of them from the CMP, and he told me, you know, poor bastard, too, you can have any one of these 3. Pick which one, and they were 3 really good looking Garands, and I picked the most beat up one. Has a really dark stock on it, and my dad told me that you know, people put tongue oil on these stocks. They do all sorts of stuff to make them look that used. There is just, but he said there's just no way to simulate a used stock. It's just, you know, I mean, you could smell the cosmoline on this thing after I got it. And I put some grease in it. You know, it doesn't take oil. You put grease in those things to get them working. And damn, yeah, the CMP, baby. That's Second Amendment written all over it. Anyway, sorry. God damn, I got off on a cat.
That's exactly what I was looking for. That's pretty sweet. So yeah, there is a John C. Garand range with like a fucking sweet bust of John C. Garand holding a Garand that says, you know, John C. Garand, hero, patriot, inventor of the M1 rifle. It's badass, man.
It's what won Europe, dude. I'm telling you, every gas operated magazine fed weapon in the current year, every firearm in the current year has descended from the M1 Garand. I mean, it is just simple. That is it, dude. The Kar 98s used by the Germans were no match for the M1 Garand. I saw an MG, it was an MG32. It was Forgotten Weapons did a square off between an M1 Garand and a German MG32, and And of course, it's not an equal matchup. And they were basically like, "Yeah, we know this isn't an equal matchup. Life isn't fair, basically." And I mean, it was close. It was close. But just the M1 Garand was absolutely revolutionary in how when you fire around, the force and the gas expended by shooting that round out of the rifle and the round passing through the barrel, the force of that round passing through the barrel and the force of that explosion is utilized in cycling the next round up in the chamber for a semi-automatic fire, gas operated,
gas actuated self-loading infantry rifle and carbine.
That's it, dude. That is it. And that basic system is what is observed in every single last semi-automatic firearm today.
So is there a special gas in the cartridge
No, not necessarily. It's simply utilizing the force and the explosion of that round going down the barrel.
Yep.
You'll see kind of like that second barrel up under the actual barrel. There is a tiny hole towards the muzzle of the rifle.
Yeah,
that
I see that
as
on a
that
lot of
round,
guns.
yeah, as that round passes through, that gas goes down into that second barrel and passes back through the barrel into the chamber, and that energy is somehow used to cycle the next round up into the chamber to be fired.
Really?
And that it was revolutionary. It completely changed firearms today. I mean, if you trace everything back, it goes back to the M1.
Yep, the M1 was the first standard issue semi-automatic military rifle. By all accounts, the M1 rifle served with distinction. That's from old Wikipedia.
And it has evolved into the M14, which I have a lot of drill experience with.
Yeah.
And it went from the M1 to the M1A to the M14, which was used in Vietnam era. And from the M14, it went forward to the M21 EBR. The M14 in its numerous variants is still used today by marksmen. As a matter of fact, the DMR in the Arma 2 DayZ mod is modeled off of the M14. The designated marksman rifle, the DMR, was an M14 with a box clip. And anyways, yeah. So the M14 is basically a descendant of the M1 Garand, and it's still used today extensively.
Huh.
So there you go, you fucking bastards. A little bit of firearms training for you. Bet you weren't expecting that tonight.
That's crazy. So yeah, all right. So spinning off of that topic, I've been thinking a lot lately about apparently, Trump's blaming video games, which was a very small blip of what he said. Basically, Trump's comment was just saying that video games are glorifying violence, and he is not wrong about that.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not.
Now, saying that, equating that to video games cause violence, which is, the apparent dog whistle there, not true. But, that I've really started thinking about that statement, that video games cause violence, and we know that to be untrue. But why then can we say that President Trump causes violence? Like, how is that not the same statement? That guns cause violence, video games cause violence, Donald Trump causes violence. They're all the exact same statement. X causes violence. And I don't think any of them are true at all. They may enable it in someone who's fucking nuts, but they're not going to cause it.
Exactly. And Styx had a very salient point about 80s slasher flicks. Kids back in the 80s, little Jimmy wasn't stabbing his mom just because he saw Jason 5.
I've been killed so many times by people wearing hockey masks. It's crazy.
I know, right? I know. And Styx went through it saying basically, yeah, you have the movie. Everyone's freaked out, and people keep coming back to Jason 3, 4, and 5 to see all the inventive ways you can off a human. And then, you think you fucking killed Jason, but you didn't. And he comes back again, and then they really kill him. But then there's a cliffhanger at the end for Jason 6. And they did that over and over and over and over again. And little Jimmy wasn't murdering his fucking family because he saw Jason.
Right.
And it's just, it doesn't hold up. It's fucking horseshit.
Yeah, and to sit there and analyze like this manifesto that, has that been proven that was his manifesto yet? El Paso Manifesto. That's still alleged. 8chan. So apparently 8chan has been deplatformed because allegedly the killer posted this manifesto to 8chan before going out to shoot. I don't know how that's 8chan's fault for anything. That just seems crazy.
I heard that it wasn't even posted to 8chan.
That's what 8chan
someone said. Oh, that it was.
8chan is claiming that apparently it was, but apparently first the owner of 8chan is claiming that it was first uploaded to Instagram and then to 8chan. But apparently a spokeswoman for Facebook says that the company disabled the guy's account earlier that... What? Oh, his account hadn't been active for more than a year, apparently. I don't know. This is so fucking dumb. Why are we running around in circles over this anyway? Why is 8chan responsible for this guy's shooting? 8chan's just a platform.
It's a website. Exactly.
I don't know. The firestorm that people stir up, like, we've got to blame something other than the motherfucker that did it. We've got to blame guns. We've got to blame video games. We've got to blame Donald Trump. We've got to blame 8chan. We've got to blame Instagram. We've got to blame Facebook. Dude, it was nobody's fault except for this one person. Deflecting that responsibility doesn't do anything except it lets advertisers on CNET get some clicks so that they can get paid by their advertisers. Is all this bullshit does.
There is money to be made off tragedy. Yep.
And it's dude, that's what's really sick about it. I don't think that CNET should do anything differently. I mean, if they're making money that way, that's fine.
I mean, no one's going to keep retards from clicking on links and believing bullshit articles.
Right. Exactly. I mean, not anymore. Dude, so if you're going to say that 8chan, if you're going to deplatform 8chan for posting this guy's manifesto, what about CNET, the New York Times? What about Heavy.com, the Burning Platform, the FederalistPapers.org, crooksandliars.com, Daily Caller, Latino Rebels, HuffPost, Washington Examiner, Raw Story? What about all these other people that are giving this same man a platform to allegedly, these news articles give rise to copycats because they're glorifying this guy?
Absolutely.
Nobody's ever made the claim that motherfucker that ran off in the woods and then posted a manifesto and started bombing people, the Unabomber, nobody deplatformed any of it. I don't know. The whole thing's really fucking stupid. It's deflecting blame off of this one guy for some reason. I don't know why we have to distribute blame. It's infuriating. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is. The NRA, you know how many people the NRA have killed? 0. Fucking 0. The NRA is about protecting people and allowing people to have their right for self-defense. And yet, people treat them as if they're Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Like, Planned Parenthood murders fucking babies. I don't give a shit who you are. Those people kill fucking kids. Yeah. All right? fuck you if you think otherwise. Like, cut the podcast off, you know, go watch the Young Turks. I don't give a fuck. Planned Parenthood kills kids. They are all about the dissolution of the nuclear family. And honestly, 26 out of the last 27 mass shooters have had a house devoid of a fucking dad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's honestly, if you're going to really try and deflect blame somewhere, the only place you should deflect blame is this children's own two parents.
It's ridiculous that having a nuclear family, it's ridiculous that having, a wife, a husband that's a male, a wife that's a female, and having kids and raising them as the gender that's swinging or not swinging between their legs is the counterculture now. Yeah. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Any therapist, any sort of psychoanalyst, the very core of therapy is, how did your parents treat you? Let's dig into how did your parents treat you? How did they treat each other?
Raised?
Yeah.
How were you brought into this world? What values were you taught as you learned how to be a human in this world?
Yeah.
I mean, that is just absolutely crucial. Is who taught you how to be a person in this world? That is a valid question, and it is just crucially important to somebody's development as a human being. It's inarguable. It is absolutely inarguable that how you are taught to be a human being in this world is directly reflective of how you operate in this world. And my parents are divorced. So I have an extended family, and I feel very fortunate that I've had the upbringing that I have. I feel like I'm a responsible human being. I feel like that I want to look out for my community. And as I, expressed earlier in this podcast, I feel an obligation to get my shit together as an individual to better my community and the people immediately around me. That's what it's all about. It really is about starting at the individual. This whole collective greater good globalism bullshit, it comes down to the community. And you know what? From the community comes the county. From the county comes the state. From the state comes the federal government. It slowly builds up, but it is rooted in the individual, man.
Individual sovereignty, not fucking collectivism.
Because collectivism doesn't fucking look out for anybody, dude. That does not look out for anybody.
It's crazy to me. So Bernie Sanders is on the latest Joe Rogan podcast.
Still need to watch that.
Everybody kind of should who has any sort of, who wants to understand politics at all. They really need to start digging into who the candidates are, because that's going to tell you what people kind of believe. And dude, I've only listened to the first maybe 30 minutes of the podcast, and Bernie, he starts talking about that healthcare should be a right. And there's a lot of people who are on board with that, who haven't thought anything past, healthcare should be a right. We should, people should have the right to be healthy. But that completely misses the point of what rights are. Rights are not given to you. Like, that's not, a right is something that you have.
You already have it. Exactly. It's something you've already got.
Yes. And you can't have health care. Like, you're not born with health care. You're not born with fucking penicillin. You're just not.
They already can't refuse somebody. It is legally, if you show up to a hospital bleeding from your torso because somebody didn't have the wherewithal to plug that shit like I was talking about back when it fucking happened, they cannot refuse health care to you. They're not going to be like, hey, wait a second, before I apply a 3-point bandage for this sucking chest wound, can you afford this? Do you a Visa, MasterCard, Social Security number, what you got? You know what I'm saying? That's not going to fucking happen. They're going to save your life and figure out the shit on the back end. It's health insurance that's the problem. And you and I offline have already identified, we've touched on and kind of traced the thread of just how we got into this fucked up situation with health insurance, and the inordinate cost of healthcare in this nation and why it costs so goddamn much to have something done. But health care isn't necessarily the issue; it's the cost of it because there's nobody that is going to be in a life-threatening situation that's not going to receive care.
Yeah, you can't afford health care. No one can afford health care.
Which is why you have insurance.
And that's crazy. I mean, that's really crazy. But I think insurance is the reason why you can't afford health care. So, yeah, I mean, back to that original point, though. Yeah, I mean, rights, you cannot be given rights. And that's just that's a fact, dude. And
it's natural rights. I mean, honestly, yes. If you look back, okay, believing in God, Christianity or not, natural rights with the way the Constitution is written, natural rights are God-given rights. The way the Constitution is written is that God created all of us with all of us equal. Every last one of us have the same rights. We do. Everybody has the right to bear arms. It's not the right to bear muskets. It's not the right to bear a pistol. It's not the right to bear a rifle with a certain amount of rounds in the mag. It's the right to bear arms. Because if I forget who said it, and I don't know if it was Mao Zedong or not. It said power comes from the barrel of a gun, and it matters who wields that power. If it's only the government that wields the semi-automatic weapons, who do you think wields the power? The government does. Is the government subservient to the people at that point? Fuck no, they're not. Fuck no, they're not.
That's the whole point of collectivism, is that the people are subservient to the government.
And that's just not how this works. That's just not how the United States of America works. The government works for us, and they better well be goddamn scared of us. The government of this nation better goddamn be scared of the people that it represents, because we are the swinging fucking cock in this nation. I'll say it again. The government had better be fucking scared of the people that it represents. The citizens of this nation are the swinging fucking dick around here. We own the firearms in this nation. The National Guard is made up of the citizens of the states that it represents. We keep the government in check. And if the government is scared of its people, so fucking be it. That is the way it had better be. The government and the people that represent, the citizens of this nation had better goddamn be well scared of them. And rightfully so. It is we, the people, that they represent. And I'll tell you what, man, at here in Chink that fucking greasy ass buffalo, hearing him ramble on about the Second Amendment, I heard that fat son of a bitch tell me I didn't have a right to a firearm. Fuck you, you Turkish cunt. Fuck you, Chink Uyghur. I own a firearm, and you can come and try to pry that from my cold fucking fingers.
Yeah.
There is a reason, dude. It is just absolutely ridiculous what the American left think is acceptable. I just can't believe that the American left places that much trust in the government while in the same breath calling Trump a fascist. For the love of Christ, do you realize what you're saying?
No. They
No,
don't.
they don't. They really don't. They truly, honestly don't.
It's a moral high ground. That's all it is. Being a leftist is just holding a moral high ground over someone else's head. Think of the children, and which is stupid because this used to be like a very right-wing thing, is think of the children. But now this is very much a left-wing thing. Think of the children in those Nazi Auschwitz concentration camps on the Mexican border. You know, they're killing Jews down there on the Mexican border. Think of those children, man.
People that are crossing the border illegally on their own volition. It's not like we're snaking these people up, you know, in Mexico and holding them in. No, we wouldn't have as many crowded facilities if so many people weren't crossing the border because Democrat politicians are encouraging them to do so.
Dude, this is anecdotal as fuck, but I was reading something the other day where apparently illegal immigrants are coming across and they're just standing there waiting to be picked up by ICE.
I believe it, dude. What else are they going to do other than just stand there and do that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, because then you get transported off to a facility with a bathroom and food and all kinds of shit, yeah. And dude, allegedly somewhere between 30 and 50% of children who come across the border are not with their parents.
Yep.
And they're taking those children away from their parents, and think of the children
being separated from their families. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
Those children
They're
are crying.
not coming here with their family.
Those children are crying.
I know. Look at this brown kid crying. Let's burn the Constitution. Jesus Christ, you fucking emotion pulling fucks. Like, quit trying to pull on my heartstrings.
Hey, before we get too far away from it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I want to make one amendment to what I said earlier. So,
do it, dude.
The right to health. The right to health. I think you do have a right to health. But I think that's all I really need to say about that, because the right to health care means that you have the right to health at someone else's expense, and that's not a right at all. If it's at someone else's expense, you do not have. That's not the definition. It just doesn't exist. So yeah, you have the right to your own health. If in the same way that, hey, here's a gun sitting on my nightstand, I'm going to pick it up and shoot it into my ceiling, whatever. Hey, here's a thing of penicillin sitting on my nightstand, I'm going to pick it up and shoot it into my ceiling. That's the same right. Yes, absolutely. But you do not have a right to something at someone else's expense. You just don't. That's where your rights end, is because it's someone else's expense. And that's outside the realm of individual sovereignty. And individual sovereignty is what you have.
Exactly. I mean, the default state of humanity, and I heard this a long time ago, so I'm plagiarizing the fuck out of this.
Hell yeah.
The default state of humanity is soul-crushing poverty, out in the woods, naked as fuck, clicking rocks and sticks together. That is all you're afforded. That's it. That's it. That's what you deserve. That is what you are afforded. That's it, dude. That is it.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, again, though, it lies with the individual, and exactly like I was saying earlier, like if I'm willing to step in front of somebody whose life is being directly threatened and place myself in between that person and the mortal threat that they're facing, what higher calling is there for an individual in a community to do something other than that? I mean, what is there another higher calling that you can think of where you would step in between someone else and a mortal danger to at least attempt to save their lives? I'm not saying that I'm proficient enough as a as a former CCW carrier to, produce my weapon in a situation like that and effectively neutralize a target. I'm not in the military. I've never been in the military. I will never be in the military. I'm a fucking nasty, fucking fat ass, slimy civilian. And there's no, I haven't had any official training in this shit. Who's to say that I don't go to reach for my gun and I get fucking wasted, dude, and my head turns into a brain slushy, all because I wanted to save somebody else's life and I felt compelled to do so in the moment. Can any of you liberal cunts say that you would be willing to do the same fucking thing? And the answer is no, because you're fucking selfish.
They wouldn't have to if the government took everybody's guns away, though, man.
Oh, I know. And that would leave me as somebody standing there with my thumb up my cunt and my hands in the air saying, oh, please, dude, please don't shoot me. You know, please take all the money in the register.
Here's what's really, I think to me, this is the stupidest thing about that whole argument is let the government take your guns away. Dude, go up to a liberal and be like, go give your guns to Donald Trump. I guess their head's just going to spin right off of their body and turn into a butterfly and fucking grow a dick or something.
Is this fascism?
They hate Donald Trump, but they want to give him, you know, I'm using him as the fucking symbol of all government. But that's what, I mean, it's the same thing they do. So why would you give Congress, why would you give anybody, why would you give those people that you vehemently hate all the power in the world just because you think Hillary's going to win in 2020 or whatever? You know, that's got to be the most short-sighted, asinine, all the fucking words in the world for somebody being a fucking dipshit.
Just utterly retarded, dude.
It's retarded.
Just for the life of me, I just cannot imagine. I mean, call me fucking selfish, but goddamn, I want to be in charge of my own well-being.
Dude, be
if
selfish.
There was an active shooter situation, I would rather have my firearm on me than not. I mean, you cannot tell me otherwise. If you were placed in an active shooter situation, would you rather have a cell phone in your hand with 911 on speed dial or have a fucking pistol?
Yeah.
I would choose the fucking GAT every time, son. Holly Grove Triggerman guns in the motherfucking knapsack from fucking Carter 2, dude. I would rather have that shit than a police officer standing right next to me.
Yep.
I mean, and that's just the fact of the matter, man. That is just the fact of the matter. Why the fuck you wouldn't want to be, and I'm sorry, I know I'm swearing like a sailor on this podcast, but why you would not want to be in charge of your own well-being is just absolutely beyond me, dude. It is absolutely beyond me, because I know people in my life that don't want to have anything to do with firearms. People that I know should know how to operate a firearm. People that are in capacities around children that, you know CPR and stuff. Like, why would you bother to know CPR on behalf of a child, but you won't take the time to know how to operate a firearm just in case you ever needed to use that? Like, I just, that type of thinking is just absolutely fucking incongruent to me. Why you would want to know CPR to save the life of a child, yet you would not, just because guns are loud or scary or whatever fucking bullshit you have built up in your mind that guns are, just, I don't know, maybe you're just a fucking lazy human being and you don't want to know how to, protect yourself or those around you. I just, for the life of me, I can't understand why somebody would not want to be in charge of their own immediate protection. God knows how long it would take for law enforcement to arrive to an active shooter situation should I, be involved in something like that. Christ only fucking knows how long it would take for a police cruiser in the zip code to get to where I am. You know how long it takes for me to draw my firearm, and I'm a slow cunt. I'm probably about a second. About a second. I know dudes that can probably draw and put 2 or 3 rounds down range in under a second. I just, for the life of me, why the fuck wouldn't you want to have protection there in a second rather than 10 minutes? Sorry, I know I've gotten pretty supercharged about this, but we can probably call this episode Annie Get Your Gun. But Jesus Christ, man, just I haven't looked over CCW stuff like this in a long time. And I just, I looked at some combat casualty statistics today. I looked at some CCW statistics today. And Jesus Christ, man, the public has just, it comes down to the individual. Put your money where your mouth is. If you're a libertarian, and you don't have any sort of you just got to do it on your own, man. It's incumbent on the individual. If you're going to say I carry a firearm because the police can't be here all the time, well, God damn it, you had better be able to treat trauma without EMS on scene. And if you're not, you're probably half irresponsible, which is what I am. I just realized today that I feel half irresponsible because I haven't even considered seeking out training to treat trauma like that. And I have been in a situation where I have witnessed a death in my life. I have seen a couple on riding a motorcycle. Neither of them were wearing helmets. I was in the front passenger seat of a vehicle driving in the right-hand lane, and an individual and his wife were in the number 2 lane with their friend on a motorcycle right behind them. And it was just about dusk, and a deer jumped out in front of the front motorcycle. And I remember seeing the back of that motorcycle pop up. It threw the woman off the motorcycle. Obviously, the bike went wild. The man went tumbling into the street. The friend behind the couple ran over the woman and broke her neck. And we were going 55, 60 miles an hour, as is common down those country roads. And we finally came to a stop. And the man was still in the left-hand lane when they came to arrest. He was resting on his back, making grunting noises and stuff in the left-hand lane. I told the driver and the back passenger to call 911. I got out of the car, and the male was laying in the left-hand lane grunting, and I knew he was at least alive, so I ran further down the shoulder of the road towards the woman. As I approached her, it was apparent that she was no longer with us, but the friend had kept his bike up miraculously. I don't know how he managed to keep his bike up through all that, but he had parked his bike further down the road. And as I approached the lady, I kept calling out to her, but again, as I got closer to her, it was apparent that she was not alive. So I ran towards the friend that was slowly walking towards me, asking if he was okay. He wasn't. He was obviously in shock, wasn't saying anything to me. So I turned around and ran back towards the gentleman that was laying in the road. And basically all I could do at the time was keep the blood from pooling into his eye sockets. As the EMTs showed up, they ended up landing a helicopter in the highway to escort the male to a medical treatment facility. The woman died on scene. I read the news article later on. She apparently died from a broken neck. And the most horrific thing is their son, the man and woman were married, and their son pulled up behind them several minutes, may have been as long as a half hour after the accident happened. And I had to stand there and watch their son receive the news that they had lost their mother and his mother. And his father was airlifted to a hospital. And the police basically took me and the two other two of my friends' statements, and we were released. We ended up going back to where we needed to go, and I got a call from the insurance company a couple months later asking for my version of the story of what happened and stuff. But basically, I said all that to say this: that you have no fucking clue what you're going to be thrust into as an individual. And would my concealed carry weapon have been any help in that situation? Absolutely fucking not. I mean, just totally incongruent. There's nothing I could have done with my pistol there, obviously. But just having the knowledge, man, just having the knowledge of trauma. Of course, I didn't have any training or anything at that point in time, but you know what? I didn't shit my pants. I didn't lose my fucking mind. I wasn't running around in circles in the ditch saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, some people just react to situations like that differently. And you know what? I'm not saying that if I went and took the TCCC course that I would have the wherewithal to apply that knowledge. But having that knowledge, and just on the off chance that you as a nasty fucking civilian will be able to apply that knowledge in a life-threatening situation, that just will make all the difference, dude. And that is truly putting your money where your fucking mouth is, dude. Like, if you really believe that shit, in the libertarian perspective of being self-sufficient, being prepared, looking after yourself, looking after your community, that's what you need to do. That is what you need to do. And honestly, I'd like to think myself a decent citizen, but you know what? It wasn't until this morning that I realized that that's something I've been lacking on. That is an area of knowledge that I need, that I feel like I need. And anyways, I would encourage you cunts to do the same. Anyhow, I'm sorry. That's like the second fucking time I've went off on a tangent, dude.
Man, that's good. I like it. Hey, shit.
But anyhow, I'm just sorry. I've done a lot of reading. There was a self-study PDF from a combat lifesaver course that I read earlier today, and it was just like basically 90% of combat casualties happen before they make it to a medical treatment facility. And 15% of combat casualties can be prevented by, knowing how to handle shit right after it happens. Like, if you are a CCW holder, dude, after the shooting stops, chances are there are people that are still gonna fucking die if you don't know how to handle that shit before an ambulance arrives. And I don't know, man. Maybe it's just personal. Maybe you guys are some real fucking pricks out there with hardened hearts. But I personally feel like that I have, overlooked something crucially important in being a proper citizen for my community. Get up with your local fire department, by the way. If you got a fire in your ass to do this stuff, get up with your local fire department and see what kind of auxiliary groups are in your area that would assist the fire department in an event where you would be needed. These aren't just a bunch of fat assholes sitting around, feeling important about themselves. You know, when the fucking power goes out and the hurricane hits, you know, and a tree slams through your fucking living room and hurts somebody, you're going to be wishing that there is someone around you that knows what the fuck is up, you know? And it might as well be you fucking bastard listening to this podcast. One of you 20 pricks out there. It might be you. And I encourage you to go do that shit. Anyways, again, dude, goddamn, I'm sorry. I've been on a freaking soapbox tonight.
The poor bastard PSA, man.
Dude, it might as well be. I really have not felt compelled to put anything out like this since we've started. I blushed. I blushed so hard my ears were hot this afternoon after I looked at this. And what a huge oversight on my part. I've just never even considered to go seek this kind of training before. And it's available to anyone. NAEMT.org. Anyhow, seriously, for real, I'm going to shut the fuck up about that stuff.
Dude, I mean, that's a pretty long cast. We didn't, I mean, not that there's anything to say about Jeffrey Epstein killing himself.
Dude, I know. Fuck, goddamn, I was about to say.
I mean, he shot himself twice in the back of the head in his jail cell while he was under suicide watch. So
worst case of suicide I've ever seen, dude.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to really say about that. I'm not surprised. Nobody should be surprised. But, you know, I'm sure there's a free trial of Pornhub this week, so why don't you just do that instead of giving a shit? And I've been playing the fuck out of Kingdom Come Deliverance because it's on Humble Bundle, and I don't remember what the controversy was about this game. I think it just had some white people in it, is why people were hating on it. But I'm loving the fuck out of it, and that's really all there is to say about that anyway, because it's just a good game, and it's on Humble Bundle, so go get it.
You know, you smeared some shit on the walls.
I did.
Ate some chicken with your hands after that. Swung a few swords. You know what I'm saying?
That's for sure. Yeah, it's a